When the Supreme Court legalized abortion throughout pregnancy, controversy raged on the issue of killing unborn babies. Political pundits all agree that the new president, with his appointments on the Supreme Court, could alter the abortion equation. Join me as I talk with various experts on the importance of abortion in the presidential election. What role does the judicial branch of government play in the state of our nation? I met with 4 leaders in Washington, D.C. to gain some insight on the political forecast of the U.S. Supreme Court. And I asked how the next president will impact the rules that govern this nation. I began my inquiry at Susan B. Anthony List, an organization strategically supporting pro-life congresswomen and men to Congress. What motivated you to start the organization?
Mainly those women, I have to say, who I did not agree with. I don't know if I would have done it otherwise. However, it was just such an outrage to me that these women like Patricia Schroeder and Barbara Boxer were claiming to speak for me, and I was a convert to the pro-life cause, and so I remember thinking like they thought, and I knew how wrong they were and how disserved women and children were. And also, you know, a woman has a special place in this debate, not exclusive of men, but entirely complementary to our male friends. But we have the ability to bear children. We understand intimately that connection between mother and child, that if it's broken, it breaks all sorts of things in the culture. There's a ripple effect throughout the culture. Women have a heart for that, and they needed to speak up. That was really my impetus.
Star Parker knows this life is a journey filled with choices, and as a woman, some of these choices are harder to confront.
I was involved in criminal activity, drug activity, sexual promiscuity, in and out of abortion clinic after clinic. And finally, I just really got tired, and I was pregnant again in a very short period of time. I made a decision down inside that there just has to be something wrong with killing your offspring. So I opted not to kill that 5th pregnancy and ended up on welfare. And I'm in this little black hole, and that's where God found me. And when I found out just how much He loved me and would take my life and redeem it, I just said, oh, that sounds really, really cool.
Now, do you think abortion is going to play a key prominence in the presidential election this year?
Well, I'm going to be sure that I do everything that I can do to make sure that it does. It is the issue confronting us today. It's only one symptom of the cultural war, and we are in a struggle.
Kurt, what has the U.S. Supreme Court's decision legalizing abortion done to our nation?
A lot of bad things. Even putting aside the number of unborn babies that have died, it's just been incredibly politically divisive. And of course, that's what happens when you have black or white made-up fiat from the Supreme Court, as it cuts off all possibility of compromise and reasoned debate. And perhaps even worse, it set the stage for unlimited judicial activism. That was really the signal in 1973 Roe v. Wade that the courts could make anything up and weren't embarrassed to do it. And that the courts were sort of the voice for the intellectual elite. Neither then nor now is there a big majority supporting abortion, but then and now the intellectual elites, New York Times, Washington Post, etc., Hollywood, were very much pro-choice, and that's what the Supreme Court follows. They don't really care that much what people in Kansas and Nebraska and Ohio think.
I met with former U.S. Senator Mike DeWine to gain an inside perspective on how much influence the judicial system has over our nation. Senator, tell me about your role on the Judiciary Committee. You served there very well when both Justice Alito, Chief Justice Roberts had their hearing. Tell us what a bird's eye view was sitting behind that desk in the thick of things.
Well, Brett, I served 8 years on the Judiciary Committee in the House, and then 12 years on the Judiciary Committee in the Senate. So 20 years altogether. But of course, the Senate Judiciary Committee is different than the House Judiciary Committee. We got the nominations, we got the federal district judges, the appellate judges, the circuit judges. But what the public, of course, looks at most is the United States Supreme Court and those hearings. And those hearings can be, frankly, quite very interesting.
To say the least.
Yeah, it's so you know, what's it like? Well, it's a lot of. I think what goes on there is a lot of legal questions, but a lot of showmanship as well. And senators try to make a point or points, either to the public or sometimes maybe just to the judge.
What issues did you bring up relating to the abortion issue?
We had a very interesting exchange on abortion. One of the great debates in our history is over abortion. And the stakes are very high because we know that the Supreme Court is divided almost evenly. 5-4 decisions are what we see now on abortion cases. Some going the right way, such as partial birth abortion, where they upheld that, some going the wrong way.
In response to the ban on partial birth abortions, pro-abortion leaders have introduced the Freedom of Choice Act in the Senate Judiciary Committee. If this bill gains momentum and eventually passes, the right to unlimited abortion on demand would be codified in federal law for decades to come. When we return, well, Marjorie, you've not always been pro-life, so what was it that changed your mind?